QuickBooks Pro Plus Desktop 2022 OneNote presentation. Change payroll item for payroll taxes. Let's get into it with Intuit's QuickBooks Pro Plus Desktop 2022. If you have access to OneNote, would like to follow along. Icon, left-hand side, topic introduction, 7282, change payroll item for payroll taxes tab. Also take a look at the immersive reader tool, topic introductions in the text area too. Same name, same number, but with transcripts. Transcripts that can be translated into multiple languages and either listened to or read in them. Same name and number as presentations as well. Topic introductions designed to give an introduction to the topic. Provide screenshots, links where applicable. Give accounting background to complement the presentations and can be used to follow along with them if you don't have access to the software at that time. Closing the icon on the left-hand side, we're starting off with the screenshot up top, noting down here in the employee section, you have to have payroll turned on in some way, shape, or form, either an add-on of payroll or, as we are doing here, have the manual payroll set up to see this arrow going through. When we process the payroll, we'll have payroll items that will be driving which accounts will be impacted, and we're going to think about adjusting those items at this time. So normally, the shortest or the fewest amount of payroll items will typically be the defaults if you just set up the payroll and go along with the defaults. That would be the payroll expenses down here, and then you've got the payroll liabilities up top, and then of course when you process the payroll, the checking account would be impacted as well. There's various ways that you might want to then add more detail. One of the most common ways and the most basic ways would be the payroll expenses down below. Typically shouldn't be really including payroll expenses as well as the payroll tax expenses. That being the employer portion of the payroll taxes often is nice to have it broken out. And that could help make it easier for you to kind of tie out your data to the quarterly data, which you'd like to do to double check your financial statements and your quarterly reporting on the 941s, and then the yearly reporting on the 940 and the W-2s and the W-3. So that's the first thing that you might want to think about breaking out. You also might get more complicated and break things out basically by department. You got the sales department and the admin department and so on, or by location. You might want to break out the payroll by location, and you could do those in a similar fashion as well. And then you might have up top, instead of just having the payroll liabilities, you might break it out and say that I would like the payroll liabilities to be broken out by Social Security and Medicare, and then versus the federal income tax possibly would be one way you might break out those items, as well as other types of withholdings, which could be the voluntary withholdings for a 1K plan or something like that. And then you have multiple basically liability accounts for the various things that have been withheld. So what you could do is you can go to the drop down in the lists drop down, and we're looking at the payroll items here. These are the items that are driving what's going to be impacted, or the calculations as well as which accounts will be impacted. And what we're going to look at are the Medicare and the Social Security, and we want to look at the company side of things because that's the employer side of things. And what we're going to do is break out the payroll expense. Instead of it going to payroll expense, we want to break them out to a new account we'll set up, which will go to payroll tax expense. So if we go down, we're going to set up the item for this Medicare. We're going to add an account here. It's going to be payroll tax expense. It'll be an expense type of account. And then once we get that done, now we've got the payroll tax expense as well as the payroll expenses down below. The payroll tax breaking out the employer portion of taxes, which again can be nice, because it allows you possibly to make it a little bit more easy to tie into the quarterly reports and the year-end W-2s, W-3s, and 940 and so on. So we're back in here, payroll taxes. We're going to do the same thing for the Social Security side of things now. So now if we go back in here, those Social Security and Medicare has been pulled out into the payroll tax expense instead of grouping them in with the payroll expenses altogether. We're now looking at the payroll liabilities, noting that you could do a similar thing with the payroll liabilities if you so choose, and basically set it up so you have multiple liabilities, possibly for Social Security and Medicare, and then the FIT, federal income tax, possibly breaking that out, state taxes, possibly breaking that out, any kind of workers' comp or something, breaking that kind of stuff out into a separate section. It should still tie out to the payroll summary because we implemented it retroactively. So if you go into the payroll summary, this is basically the net pay down below. This is the gross pay of the $3,572, which includes the employee portion of the payroll taxes. Here's the total, $5,429.10. So that $5,429.10 is not up top. It's going to be Not there. Hold on a second. Wait a second. The gross wages of 698333 is going to be here, and then the payroll liabilities is going to be, if we pull out the trusty, we've got the employee withholdings of the 1554.23 plus the employer of the 474.23. That should be the 2028. So if we go on up to the balance sheet, maybe I have the balance sheet down here. Do I have the balance sheet? Payroll liabilities 202846, and then on the income statement we have the 43297 broken out as the payroll tax expense up top. That's going to be the payroll tax expense here. So it'll still basically should line up if you adjust those items and you apply them out basically retroactively as we did here.